All right, my friends, good morning. It is time to rise and face the day. And I hope you're ready to do that. This morning, I'm going to take some time to think, share a few thoughts with you. I would appreciate your comments down below. And don't forget to like the video. It is 6:40 a.m., 78 degrees here in Central Florida. We're expecting a clear day. Lots of sunshine, lots of heat. Looks like the high here is going to be about 95. What's it going to be like where you're at? Tell me down below. This morning I want to talk about why consistency is greater than authenticity. We are encouraged to be ourselves, aren't we? All the time. And every single one of us wants to know what that's like. So many of us don't, and that's why it sounds compelling when someone tells us, just be yourself. And oftentimes I find, and this is my own opinion, oftentimes I find that the people who are being themselves are the most annoying people in the world, the most obnoxious people. Why is that? Well, Seth Godin has an answer for that. Seth Godin, I believe, was the owner of Yahoo and sold it. He's a very successful man. He's had many business ventures and experienced failure and success in many different ways, written lots of books. He's well known for writing and publishing a blog a day for over 10 years. And he's just got a lot of good things to say. He's highly consulted and respected for what he has to share. So in his book, The Practice, and I've got a few of his books for which I'll leave a link down below. I'll leave a link for several of the ones I like a lot, the ones that I have at least. Every single one of his books are good, they're easy to read, but this one's called The Practice, and I've read this 2 or 3 times. And it's called, right here it says, Shipping Creative Work. And this book is all about, a lot of his books are all about creating content or creating work, doing whatever it is you do and getting it out there to be seen and what that takes. And he's just got a plethora of advice on that that's practical, counterintuitive in many cases. But here's what he says on page 146, okay? And the title of this particular part is called Authenticity is a Trap. He says, some seek to find a posture of trust by using a simple approach. Say what feels real to you. Share your innermost feelings. Be yourself, and most of all, be authentic. Not only will this lead to heartbreak, it's also impossible. There is nothing authentic about the next thing you're going to say or do or write. It's simply a calculated effort to engage with someone else, to contribute, or to cause a result. The politician who offends everyone in the room and blows up his career may claim he was being authentic, but the choices that led to that moment were all intentional acts. This time, the actions didn't lead to the outcome he was hoping for, or perhaps they did. The stand-up comic isn't being authentic. It's not a natural act to stand on stage with a microphone. And the chef who cooks one cuisine or another might be having fun, but it's not more authentic for him to cook eggs than it is to cook chicken. But of course, you need to cook eggs first. If you're using any sort of self-control, there's that self word again, then you're not being authentic. Only a tantrum is authentic. Everything else we do with intention. If we're going to act with intention and empathy, our path is clear. The work is to make change happen. If we don't ship the work, no change will happen. If we ship the wrong work to the wrong people, no change will happen. Your audience doesn't want your authentic voice. They want your consistent voice. That is very eye-opening, isn't it? I think one of the worst pieces of advice people can give here, and Seth Godin would agree with this, and he's pretty much said it here, is be yourself. Be yourself, like he says, is the quickest way to heartbreak. It's impossible to do. Nobody is ever themselves. And yet, why do we strive to do that? We think it'll loosen us up. We think that, well, actually, we're told in many cases that people will like us more, that we'll feel better about ourselves. If you think to the end of it, no, they won't. Every day I go to work, I'm contracted to fulfill the duties of my service in the way that my company seems fit, or that they deem fit. And if I color outside the lines, I am subject to being reprimanded, being fired. Okay? I'm expected to act in accordance with their values. And if we don't learn to understand that this is the way the world is supposed to work, then we won't get very far. And you have to think about who you're serving. We all serve someone. I think the draw or the appeal of authenticity is that we are the masters of ourselves. But the only true way to be a master of ourselves is to control and restrain ourselves. Dwell on consistency rather than authenticity, because that's what serves you best. All right, do you ever draw money from an ATM? It's very rare for me to ever do so. I just don't see a need to carry cash very often. It was a little more common maybe when our kids were actually in school and all of a sudden there was this demand for some kind of currency for whatever reason. But I just prefer not to ever frequent one. What I'm thinking of here is a Reddit story I happened to run across. I thought it was interesting. Here's what it says. There's no need to give the person who submitted this, but their heading here is I found money in an ATM and now I regret returning it. Really? Let's see what he has to say. He says, just what the title says. I show up to a Wells Fargo ATM and there is $300 sitting in the cash dispenser. No one around, as if someone made a withdrawal and then forgot to take their money. I waited about 10 minutes to see if anyone came back, but no one did. I was with my 9-year-old son, who was excited and asked if we get to keep it. I told him that the right thing to do is to return it. However, this was a Sunday, and we would have to wait until Monday. Good opportunity for a lesson, right? Kind of. I go in on Monday and explain to the manager what happened. They told me no one had contacted them, but they will put it back in the bank, and if someone comes and asks, they will look at the balance at the end of the month or something like that. No pat in the back, just a simple thanks, and the bank absorbs the cash with no real outcome. Could have used that $300, but I guess it's an important lesson for my kid. Still. Someone responded, you did the right thing, but the right thing usually sucks. Well, someone from a bank did respond to this and said they do actually reabsorb it and allocate it in the right way. They do the right thing. They do research and try to find out who it was. So here's the thing. What do you think about that? What do you think about that post? It's clear to me that this guy is very disappointed that he did the right thing. He did not get the pat in the back. Now, all of us know that we don't do the right thing to get a pat on the back, correct? The reward isn't always immediate. The satisfaction should come just from knowing that you did the right thing. And I hope that you can remember that. Now, I understand the feeling because at some point or another, we're all confronted with this scenario, and we're disappointed when we don't get the reaction we want. But that's how you learn. And I don't know how old this guy is or anything, but hopefully he won't let that keep him from doing the right thing the next time. I also understand what it's like to need $300 at the time. Well, who couldn't say they don't need it? I mean, right? We don't do the right thing because we're full to the brim already. All right. This is the real test of a character, of character, is to do the right thing no matter what. Anyway, so after having read that, I happened to run across another story that has no real life lesson to it at all whatsoever. But this one says, in June 2018, an ATM at the State Bank of India suddenly stopped working. According to press reports, when technicians finally opened the machine to have a look inside, they found between 1.2 and 1.3 million shredded rupees and a dead rat. The money totaled about $18,000, and like the rat, it was a total loss. Can you imagine a rat inside an ATM that devoured all the money? Wow. Well, maybe the rat got more satisfaction than this man did. I don't know. I'm not really sure. But I thought that was kind of funny. It's kind of fun to link up two different stories that you happen to read on the same day. All right, I'm going to leave you with a quote of the day, guys. And here it is. This is by Dorothy Parker. She was a poet and literary critic. This is what she said. She said, "This is not a novel to be tossed aside lightly. It should be thrown in great force." Guess she didn't like whatever she was reading. She was a literary critic after all. But have you ever read a book that came highly recommended, or you thought looked interesting, looked promising maybe from the cover, maybe people have talked about it, got good reviews, you read it, and it was just garbage? I have. I've read a few books like that. And so after I read this quote, I went back on Goodreads and looked at my ratings on some of the books, and I found two that I felt that way about in particular. The first one was As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner. Faulkner is supposed to be a tremendously good writer, right? Well, I thought this book was terrible. This book is about a family who is taking their mother to be buried somewhere, and each one there's like stories, different stories within the book itself, and each little story is from the perspective of each person, child, husband, whoever. I can't really remember. All I remembered was it was a terrible book. I thought it was completely pointless. It had no real substance, and I thought it was just stupid. A William Faulkner book of all things. This gnat is flying around my head. The other book I did not like, that everybody seems to love, but I thought it was absolutely terrible, was The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. Terrible book. The reason why I read it is because I knew that the miniseries, The Haunting of Bly Manor, was based on this, and I really enjoyed that series. I thought it was really, really good. The book is about these children living in this mansion who are haunted by malevolent ghosts. And like I said, great series. It's just very well made, and I thought, well, the book's got to be good, right? No, The Turn of the Screw was awful. I thought it was written horribly. It made me I've never read any other Henry James books, and I don't know if I ever want to now, just based on that. Same thing for William Faulkner. I think I have read another William Faulkner book, and I don't think I thought a lot of it either, because I don't really remember. It's on the tip of my tongue, but anyway, not memorable, and yet everybody seems to like it. Yeah. They should be thrown in great force, as Dorothy Parker said. What have you read like that you feel that way about? I want to know, so I know to avoid those things. Of course, we may not all share the same opinion. I know that a lot of people don't share my opinions about those two books, but they were awful. All right, guys, I hope you remember to do the right thing today, not for reward, and I hope you can focus on being consistent over being authentic. Understand the pitfalls of authenticity, because they are many, not few. All right, remember to check the description down below for the links I provided for the Seth Godin books. They're really, really good. I think you'll enjoy them. If you've read his books before, tell me, because I really enjoy them quite a bit. God, they're quite inspirational to me, which is why I'm still doing YouTube, largely because of him. He has really convinced me to keep my hand on the helm. All right, guys, I hope you enjoy your day. I'm going to catch you tomorrow. Hope to see you then. In the meantime, be wise.